GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Good morning, I'm Lauren Dupuis. Quebec firms are bracing for massive new tariffs, and traffic is seeing moderate delays from tunnel hindrances and road restrictions. Plus, a Montreal entrepreneur is turning invasive knotweed into lemonade, and Bell Center guided tour are open this weekend. Over to you, Ryan.
Yesterday, CF Montreal secured a 2-2 draw with Los Angeles Galaxy after scoring a late goal at Stade Saputo.
The match concluded with both teams level, ending the homecoming celebration for Alexis Sanchez without a win.
The late goal came in the final minutes, giving Montreal the equalizer they needed to avoid defeat.
All right, let's get into it, starting with the latest updates on Quebec's new tariff measures affecting local businesses. Here are our top stories. Quebec businesses are gearing up for newly imposed customs duties that will raise costs, as the provincial government's tariff policy takes effect and threatens to impact entrepreneurs across Canada. José Cartier has the full story.
Quebec firms are scrambling as the provincial government rolls out a new tariff regime that slashes the bottom line. Under the policy, duties on imported inputs jump by up to 30%, forcing manufacturers to recalculate budgets and look for alternative suppliers. Small-scale producers say the sudden hike could push prices up for consumers across the country. Larger exporters are already petitioning Ottawa for relief, arguing the added cost undermines competitiveness. The government says the measures aim to protect domestic industry and generate revenue, but businesses warn the ripple effect will be felt far beyond the province's borders. The duties are set to kick in early September, giving companies just a few weeks to retool their supply chains. José Cartier, GMNA News, Montreal.
Earlier today, a town in Quebec began a dementia-friendly training program aimed at local merchants, municipal staff, and emergency responders. Participants learned how to recognize signs of cognitive decline, communicate with clarity, and adjust services to accommodate people living with dementia. The initiative, part of a growing provincial effort to make everyday interactions more accessible, includes practical scenarios for shopkeepers, city clerks, and police officers. Organizers say the goal is to reduce confusion and stress for residents facing memory challenges, allowing them to shop, obtain permits, or call for help without fear of misunderstanding. Families of those with dementia welcomed the move, noting that familiar faces trained in these techniques can make routine errands feel safer. The town plans to expand the program to schools and community centers in the coming months, reinforcing Quebec's broader push toward inclusive public spaces.
Yesterday, the Parti Québécois unveiled 2 new candidacies in ridings the party regards as favorable ahead of the province's looming 2026 election. Party officials said the selections are part of a broader effort to rebuild its legislative presence after a challenging previous cycle. The announced candidates, both seasoned local activists, will contest seats that analysts view as competitive for the sovereigntist movement. Party leader emphasized that the new faces aim to energize the base and broaden outreach in regions where voter support remains strong. With the election calendar now tightening, the move signals the PQ's intent to field a full slate and capitalize on any shift in public sentiment. The announcement follows a series of recent strategic decisions as the party seeks to regain momentum before polls open later this year.
Quebec's government announced 2 new assistance programs to help businesses grappling with a 50% U.S. tariff increase, a move announced by the United States affecting local firms. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
The provincial government has rolled out 2 new assistance programs aimed at Quebec firms reeling from the United States' recent 50% tariff hike. Premier Freichet's administration says the measures will provide direct financial relief and expert guidance to help companies absorb the sudden cost shock. Officials stress that the programs are available immediately in target sectors most exposed to the tariff increase, allowing businesses to maintain operations and protect jobs while they adjust to the new trade landscape. Details on eligibility and application procedures will be posted on government websites over the coming days. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Montreal.
René Gauvau, a former Parti Québécois member of the National Assembly, announced yesterday that he is running for Quebec Solidaire in the Camille Laurin riding of Montreal. The former PQ legislator said his decision reflects a shift toward the progressive platform of Quebec Solidaire, and he will campaign alongside party organizer Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon. Gauvau's candidacy marks his first foray with the left-leaning coalition after more than a decade in the sovereigntist bloc. Party officials said his experience in provincial politics could bolster Quebec Solidaire's profile in the traditionally competitive riding. The announcement was made at a press conference in the riding's community center, where Gauvau outlined his priorities on affordable housing, public transit, and climate action. Voters will see his campaign launch in the weeks ahead. Camille Laurin has historically swung between sovereigntist and liberal candidates, making Gauvau's entry a notable development. Later we'll dive into the murder charge that shocked a local family, plus more headlines. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Police have charged a 35-year-old man with first-degree murder after a Montreal mother was found dead in her apartment. Investigators say the woman was discovered on Friday, 21st August, at approximately 7:33 in the evening. The victim, a mother of one, lived alone in the downtown unit where the body was located. Detectives allege the suspect entered the residence and committed the killing, leading to an arrest shortly after the discovery. The charge carries a mandatory life sentence and reflects the seriousness of the case. Authorities have not released the suspect's name pending a formal court appearance. The Sûreté du Québec, working with the Service de Police de la Ville de Montréal, made the arrest. The case will be presented before Court of Quebec for a hearing. The family has been notified. The investigation remains ongoing as forensic teams continue to examine the scene for additional evidence.
The coalition Avenir Quebec unveiled its slate of 5 candidates for the upcoming provincial election, 3 on Montreal Island and 2 in Laval. José Cartier has the full story.
On the island of Montreal, the coalition Avenir Quebec unveiled 3 candidates for the upcoming provincial race, while just across the river in Laval the party announced 2 more names. The slate covers ridings from the downtown core to the western boroughs, aiming to broaden the party's reach in the greater Montreal region. Party officials said the selections reflect a mix of seasoned politicians and community leaders, hoping to appeal to voters on issues ranging from health care to transportation. Campaign headquarters are already gearing up for door-to-door canvassing, and the candidates will begin meeting constituents in the weeks ahead. The move comes as the CAQ seeks to solidify its presence ahead of the fall election. José Cartier, GMNA News, Laval.
Researchers have launched a field investigation in Lanaudière after a preliminary survey suggested the province's oldest white pine may stand within the region. The team, comprising botanists and forestry experts, began their search yesterday at dawn, deploying drone imaging and ground-level sampling to pinpoint candidates among the dense boreal stands. The survey also incorporates DNA analysis to verify tree age, and aligns with the Provincial Heritage Program that aims to map century-old specimens across Quebec. Quebec's white pines can survive for several centuries, and confirming the age of a single specimen would offer a rare window into the area's ecological history and climate resilience. Officials from the Ministry of Forests said the effort underscores a broader commitment to preserving the province's natural heritage. Findings are expected to be compiled over the coming weeks, with results slated for a public report later this summer.
Entrepreneur Isabelle Martineau spent early Saturday morning in Abercorn, Quebec, pulling up invasive Japanese knotweed and turning the harvested plant into a batch of homemade lemonade. She explained that the tough stems are first washed, then boiled to extract a clear liquid that she sweetens and bottles for local sale. Officials in Quebec have been urging residents to remove knotweed because its rapid growth can outcompete native flora and destabilize riverbanks. By creating a marketable product, Martineau hopes to motivate more homeowners to tackle the weed, turning a costly nuisance into a small revenue stream. Knotweed is a priority invasive species that can damage building foundations. Martineau will donate a share of sales to a local river restoration group. The initiative aligns with provincial efforts to curb the spread of the non-native species, offering a practical example of turning environmental challenges into entrepreneurial opportunities.
Heritage groups urge Quebec to designate the 57-year-old Saint-Air racetrack as a protected site after St. Pie Council approved a high school proposal on the grounds. Marion Catay has the full story.
Heritage advocates are urging the provincial government to officially protect the Saint-Air racetrack, a 57-year-old landmark in St. Pie. The call comes after the town council passed a resolution that could see a new high school erected on the historic grounds. Supporters say the Oval, which has hosted countless races and community events since the late 1960s, represents a unique slice of Quebec's motor sport legacy. They argue that designating the site as a heritage property would safeguard its structures and prevent irreversible changes. Provincial officials have not yet responded, but the debate has already sparked a broader conversation about balancing development needs with cultural preservation. Local residents hope the move will keep the track's historic grandstand intact for future generations. Marion Catay, GMNA News, St. Pie.
Let's get a look at your morning forecast with our meteorologist now.
A deepening trough over the Great Lakes drags a southerly jet, setting up late-day storms for Montreal. On this date, Montreal once burned to 31.1 degrees Celsius, a record set in 2021 during a lingering heat wave that pushed the surrounding region into the mid-30s. The cold side of the story arrived in 2018 when a polar blast drove temperatures down to 11.6 degrees Celsius, a record low that stood out in an otherwise mild early August. By contrast, today's climate normals hover around 27 for the high and 15 for the low, underscoring how today sits comfortably between those extremes. The live radar shows a band of moderate echoes sliding eastward across the southern suburbs, steered by the southerly jet at 111 kilometers per hour. That line will sweep over the island at about 5 p.m., intensify near 5, then thin out and disappear by 8 p.m. beyond that the screen is clear, confirming the dry, stable air mass that dominates this morning. At 7, Montreal sits under a mostly clear sky with a temperature of 17 degrees Celsius and humidity at 85%. A gentle southeast breeze at 10 kilometers per hour brushes the city, while pressure is near average and beginning to fall, signaling a shift toward unsettled weather. Overhead, a strong southerly jet stream moving at 111 kilometers per hour channels warm, moist air northward, raising the thermal profile and setting the stage for late-day instability. The UV index reads 6. Temperatures will climb steadily, reaching 29 degrees by mid-afternoon before dipping to 23 at sunset. Wind will gust up to 17 kilometers per hour from the southeast, feeling brisk on exposed surfaces. No weather alerts are in effect, so the public can focus on the evolving temperature profile. Looking ahead, Sunday will start the weekend with a cloud-filled sky and a high of 25 degrees, while lows dip to 15, and there is a 25% chance of rain in the afternoon. Monday continues the unsettled pattern, offering a cooler high of 21 and a low of 16, with 30% rain odds lingering into the evening. Tuesday brings a modest warm-up to 22 for the high and 16 for the low, but despite mainly clear conditions, the chance of precipitation climbs to 40%, hinting at scattered showers. Wednesday clears dramatically, delivering a crisp 24-degree high and a steady 16-degree low under a blue sky. Thursday reintroduces moisture, with a high of 25, a low of 18, and a 55% rain probability, setting the stage for a damp end to the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the local sunrise is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic snarls linger from tunnel work, the Bell Center tour starts soon, and Yvonne Lambert's recovery update follows. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
The biggest slowdown this morning is the Viger Tunnel, closed between Rue Panet and Exit 5 at Boulevard Robert Bourassa. Traffic is backed up on both sides, and drivers should avoid the tunnel entirely, using Rue Saint-Urbain or Boulevard Saint-Laurent as alternatives. A second major bottleneck hits the eastbound lane of the Ville-Marie Tunnel, also between Robert Bourassa and Saint-Laurent. Expect queues spilling onto the adjacent on-ramps, and consider the autoroute Ville-Marie westbound or surface streets like Rue Mansfield to stay moving. Minor hindrances remain on the Ville-Marie Expressway at Exit 5, on Boulevard Saint-Laurent between Rue Saint-Denis and Rue Saint-Paul, on Rue Sherbrooke between Rue Saint-Urbain and Rue Saint-Denis, and on Rue Notre Dame Est between Rue Saint-Laurent and Rue Saint-Marc. All other routes are running freely. No transit delays have been reported, so the metro and bus network remain on schedule for the afternoon.
At Place Bell, ASAKE kicks off his In God We Trust World Tour tonight, a high-energy show that's drawing fans from across the province. Don't miss the chance to catch the rising star live. Across town at Stade Boreal, the Roses de Montreal women's soccer side face the Calgary Wild in a clash that could boost their playoff hopes, so grab a ticket for a fast-paced match on the field. The MAD and FMD Mode and Design Festival wraps up today in the Cartier des Spectacles, offering the last chance to see cutting-edge fashion installations and street-style showcases before the doors close. And for families strolling through Marché Central, the Summer Fun Festival continues with free face painting, slime workshops, and live entertainment, perfect for a relaxed weekend outing. And now here's Tyler with sports.
Montreal sports on the move. Here is everything you need to know. Canadiens legend Yvonne Lambert is recovering at Lakeshore General Hospital after sustaining fractures in a fall. The good news, Lambert is described as a popular patient among the hospital staff, which tells you everything about the man. The Habs family is watching closely, and we wish him a full recovery. CF Montreal needed a late goal Saturday night at Stade Saputo to earn a 2-2 draw against the Los Angeles Galaxy. Alexis Sanchez's MLS homecoming was the storyline, but this club had to dig deep just to salvage a point. That late-game resilience matters, but so does the question of why they were chasing in the first place. Canadiens prospect Hayden Popinkies is not shying away from the NCAA jump. He is embracing the challenge of going up against older, more experienced competition. That mindset matters at that level. Meanwhile, the Athletic projects Montreal among the top Stanley Cup contenders 5 years from now. The rebuild has a destination. Big week ahead, keep watching, because this city never stops competing.
Thanks, Tyler. Good Food, the Montreal-based meal kit company headquartered in downtown Montreal, is at a crossroads. After a rapid leadership change, its chief executive stepped down after less than 6 months. The business sought creditor protection to restructure its finances. That move signals a major shift for a brand that has been a kitchen staple across Quebec, delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients to families looking for convenient, home-cooked meals. The restructuring aims to streamline operations and preserve the jobs that keep the local supply chain humming. For Montrealers, good food isn't just a service. It's the weekly ritual that turns a busy weekday into a shared dinner around the table. Its future will shape how we feed our neighborhoods. Coming up, the police will roll out body cameras that can't be turned off, plus a historic church demolition preview.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Montreal police will equip officers with body-worn cameras that cannot be turned off, pledging public release of all footage to boost transparency and accountability. Philippe Nadeau has the full story.
Montreal police are rolling out portable body-worn cameras that officers cannot turn off, with a promise to make all recordings available to the public. The new equipment will be issued to uniformed members across the city, and the department says the devices will record continuously while on duty. Officials stress that the footage will be stored securely and released when requested, aiming to provide full transparency and accountability. Police leadership presented the program as a step toward rebuilding trust between law enforcement and the community. Training sessions are scheduled to familiarize officers with the technology and the protocols for handling the recorded material. The initiative comes as part of a broader effort to modernize policing practices. Philippe Nadeau, GMNA News, Plateau.
A century-old church in southwest Montreal faces demolition after a winter fire weakened its structure, creating a collapse risk. Religious authorities say only the facade may remain. Marion Catay has the full story.
Religious officials announced today that the crumbling remains of a church built 100 years ago in southwest Montreal will be torn down. A blaze that swept through the building during the winter of 2025 left the walls charred and the roof collapsed, leaving only the stone facade standing. Engineers have inspected the site and warned that the weakened shell could give way at any moment, posing a danger to nearby residents. Authorities say demolition is the only safe option, and crews will begin clearing the structure in the coming weeks. The decision closes a chapter on a landmark that survived a century of neighborhood change for the community. Marion Catay, GMNA News, Southwest Montreal.
Thank you, Montreal, for joining us on the local Sunrise. Tonight's highlight, seeing a Montreal entrepreneur transform invasive knotweed into lemonade, reminded us of the city's creative spirit. We appreciate your company and look forward to bringing you more stories tomorrow morning. Stay bright and see you then.